It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig. You decide when you lose, not other people. And Blast.
I like pickles.
And co-hosted by our friends from around the internet. If you like common sense, hit that thumbs up button and, of course, the subscribe button. And join us Monday through Friday live at 11 a.m. Central Time. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the #1 gaming and entertainment podcast on God's green earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and SideScrollers.locals.com. What's going on, everybody? Hi, I'm Stuttering Craig. Happy Tuesday to you. Yeah, let's go. Sometimes the days get wrapped up into one. It's good. Welcome on out, everybody. We got a great show today. Man, do we got a good one. We're going to lead with some really important news that I just got. Blabs, hello. How are you?
Hello. I have to brag. Remember on Friday, I was like, I got my $5 Shrek shirt from Walmart?
Yes.
I have it. It's a male t-shirt, and I get to wear it for $5. That's a steal.
Wow.
Attitude. Shut up, Craig.
Congratulations, Blabs. Way to go. You got your $5. Good for you. All right. Also joining us today, the one, the only Melonie Mac.
Hi! I love your Shrek shirt,
Thank
Blab.
you. I thought you would like it. You were there on Friday. It says just the green dude with an attitude. And you know what? Yes.
Fantastic.
The green dude with an attitude.
I see you wearing green too. Craig didn't get the memo. It's
Yes. Come on, Craig.
Why aren't you wearing green, Blabs?
fine. What?
He is! She's got the green dude!
Let me see. Well, okay, you're okay.
This is green, first of all. My camera's just shit.
Blabs, are you 12?
No, listen, what's wrong with Shrek? Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
You know what? I'll tell you, here's where it comes from. Let's find out if we're having Chris Gore on today. First time on the show. Chris, do you own a Shrek shirt?
I do not own a Shrek shirt. I have a lot of shirts, but I'll just say this, pro tip on buying shirts. If you buy an XL boys, it's like a men's medium, and I can barely fit into one of those. So, and also half the price.
Exactly.
So, seriously, shop
Chris.
in the children's department for your t-shirts. Just go the largest size. I'm not making that up.
You know
Okay.
I can't fit into kids' shirts anymore. I'm too big for that.
Yeah, something tells me that would be like a crop top on you, Craig. I mean, it could be cool, but...
Yeah, I look like... there's the skit from Jim Carrey on In Living Color back in the day where he was the guy dressed as the girls do you remember where he was like the bodybuilder? The really,
Right.
right. That would be me. Man, it's funny.
And you can make jokes like that. Yeah, back
That's
in not long ago.
Oh, yeah.
Not too long ago. No, not too long ago at all. But yeah, listen, we're gonna have a good one today. Here we go. I got a picture of it for you. This would have been let me see if I can get this for you real quick. This would be me dressing in the kids section here. As going with the Chris Gore.
That's accurate. No, but
right here.
technically, they do fit, and they fit tighter in like, I don't know. I think I'm able to pull it off. What can you say?
Well, you have that girlish figure, Chris. That's the problem. I do not. I have a little tummy on me right here, which doesn't allow for me to fit the little kid stuff.
What size is this? This is a men's medium, I think, or small, but either way, it fits.
You should have gone for the youth extra large. Maybe
Youth
you could have got
XL.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like $5, so really, you can't beat that. It's like half cotton, guys.
True.
Maybe you could. Maybe you
And
could.
the oversized look is all the rage right now.
Well, look, we got a great show for you guys today. Incredible banter and bargain deals. For,
Right.
This is important. Want to remind you guys, we are live over at rumble.com/sidescrollers. Join us over there. Hit the follow button and join some nearly 6,000 freedom and common sense lovers over at Rumble. We also have an X account where you can find out who's going to be on the show. You could have found out that Melonie and Chris were going to be on the show simply by following us over at Sidescroller Pod. We also have an Instagram account, don't we, Blabs?
Yes, follow us for some fun memes, videos, clips, whatever. If you don't, That's all.
Oh my! Wow.
Yes.
Violence is back, which is
Yes,
great.
I took the day off yesterday.
Good. We also have a Kick account over at kick.com/sidescrollers, growing a little bit more every day. It's kind of exciting to see that, which is cool. If you want to listen to the audio version of the show instead of looking at our stupid faces, you can find us over at Spotify. You can listen to the show, and once again, that's growing, which is spectacular. But the place we want you guys to go, most importantly, is sidescrollers.locals.com, our newly launched locals page. Just 10 of you, just 10 new folks. Walk on over there, click a new window, sidescrollers.locals.com. It is free to become a locals member. And most importantly, you get notified when the stream goes live, which has been a problem over on YouTube, just letting you know. So sidescrollers.locals.com. If 10 of you would open up a new tab right now, head over there. That would be spectacular. You can also watch some premium content like Blabs reacting to 90s cartoon shows, cartoon themes, which is great. That is not available over on YouTube because we'll get flagged for copyright. But speaking on YouTube, if you'd like to stick around your first time tuning in, join the 67,300 subscribers who love common sense in the video game and entertainment space. Let's hit our 500 like goal today, and let's get to our 25 memberships. And we're well on our way, guys. As Chris P. Chicken came in with 10 gifted memberships, that is outstanding. Love to see that.
I bet he would like the chicken pizza.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because we're going to talk about Chiza here in just a second. We are.
Okay.
Chris, first-time guest, you get to decide what color goes on the wall. We have a wide variety, yellow, orange, pretty much all the colors of the rainbow. Chris, you get to pick what crispy chicken goes on. What color would you like today?
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the colors of the rainbow. Do you have beige?
I do have orange, which is the closest thing we'll find. So we'll
Let's
go with
orange.
Orange it is. Crispy chicken going on the wall. Thank you very much for that. Also, CR Vox going on the wall with 10 gifted memberships. Starting us off, let's stinking go. That's awesome. Let's read off the worthy one for me really quick.
Yeah, all right. The worthy one for $5. Hey, Chris, it was nice meeting you at DragonCon. Let Craig know DragonCon is a dope con.
Okay, I go to a lot of conventions. San Diego Comic-Con for me is work. You know, I see a lot of people there in the entertainment industry, comics and animation. DragonCon is super fun. Best cosplay you will ever see at a con. Most clever cosplay, group cosplay. It's a party. I call it Nerdy Gras because it is just insane. They do a rave that goes all night on Saturday called The Last Night on Alderaan. It is so fun. There's even a party. Now, for those that are easily offended, just hear me out here. The party is called Anything But Clothes. It's the ABC party. Now, you have to be clothed. You just can't wear clothing. So people put caution tape. They'll take caution tape and make clothes out of it. Someone this one woman made a dress, but it was all made from ramen packages. So it's just super clever, really fun. Hotel room parties. It's a great vibe. The panels there are awesome. They do a lot of like science and technical panels. So I keep trying to convince people like, you know, yourself or the G&G crew or Gary, like DragonCon is really a con to have fun. And I've met the coolest people there. So shout out to the guy who sent the super chat in, and I will see you again. I've already got my hotel booked. So go to DragonCon. Trying to sell it to you all.
All right.
Yeah.
184 days away.
Let's go.
Looks like we need to go. Yes. Looks like maybe where's it at? It looks in Georgia, huh?
It's in Atlanta. So, and it all takes place in these 3 hotels that are connected by these hallways. And it's just, I can't even describe the best cosplay you will ever see at any con, period. People go there to do group cosplay, right? I dressed as, and no one will know what this is. I dressed as Logan 5 from the movie Logan's Run after he went to the New U. And there are photos of it. So, I've dressed as like a lot of weird things. I dressed as Flash Gordon, you know, the Sam Jones Flash Gordon, carried around a silver football. It's just super fun. It's the attitude. It's, you know, it's awesome.
The best cosplay is the cosplay that nobody recognizes. That's super niche.
Everyday
I love
cosplay.
it.
Yeah, I'll do that for fun sometimes. I do the everyday cosplay.
Love it.
So.
BC came in and says, late to this, but only been a few times I've looked up something for a game. Metal Gear NES missed on PC. Majora's Mask. Abstract solutions there. Thank you, BC. Appreciate that. And Crispy Chicken and Vox, thank you guys very much. Do me a favor. Would you guys look at that? Look at that right there. Look at that. Hey, and Blabs, real quick, not to be outdone, Kratos El Gratos has come in with a $69 direct donation. Says, I only 69 for Chris Gore on side scrollers. Two of my favorite shows are Crossing the Streams and with Melonie, no less.
That's great.
Shrek is love. Shrek is
That's
life.
awesome.
Kratos, thank you so much. You're going on the wall as well, my friend. Thank you very much for your support. All right, so look, we got a big one today. We're going to talk some games. We're going to talk definitely some movies. As I can't believe what's happening in the world today, man. I can't believe what's happening in the world today. It's happening. It's all going down. We got a lot going on. Chris, do us a favor. We were talking before we went live. And I was like, tell me about your, like, you know, we obviously we know you from obviously your history with movies, and you're got Film Threat, and everything's great, right? But you obviously you got a big history in video games, which I didn't know you were like an editor at magazines. That's amazing. Tell me more about that. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I was doing Film Threat magazine in the early 90s, which is a magazine I started like out of high school, and then I dropped out of college and put all my effort into doing a magazine. So I am and then years later, I wrote a book that's like required reading in film school, which is kind of fun. Take that formal education. So I'm self-educated, was editing this magazine, Film Threat. I would go over to the editors of Video Games and Computer Entertainment, which was in the same floor, and they had a Neo Geo. And I could beat the crap out of anybody on that game. It was great. I play what was that game? Super Sidekicks, which was the soccer game.
Yeah.
What was it like? Fatal Fury, Street Fighter 2. And I would just go and play, and I'd win the games. Finally got the attention of some of the management. They're like, hey, do you want to be the editor of Video Games and Computer Entertainment magazine? I was always a huge games fan. Like I've had like every game system since I was a kid. I had an Odyssey 2. I bought at a yard sale an old game system. This is what they used to do. They would take like a cellophane screen that you would scotch tape to your TV so that you would have like, it would look like a tennis field or whatever. It was just like, it was bizarre. So I've always been into gaming, always had whatever the latest system is. And recently I'm a PS5 guy. I just sort of settled on that. But yeah, I got the job. They offered it to me. And then we while I was there, created other game magazines like Tips and Tricks, Ultimate Gamer. It was a Computer Player was another one, kind of diversified it, because people who play PC games are kind of different than console gamers, I think, for the most part. So yeah, that's Tips and Tricks magazine. Yeah, I knew the editor, Chris Bieniek. We started the magazine. This is like in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
So that's so I've always kind of been like in like magazines, and I consider myself a media junkie for good or bad. So yeah, but I don't really I don't do gaming streams. I don't talk about games all that much. The last game I finished was Cyberpunk 2077, which I know a lot of people did not like because of the bugs, but I didn't even start playing it until months after it was released, and most of the bugs were fixed from what I saw. And I really love that game. But and then I bought this Kill the Justice League. Pre-ordered it.
Oh no!
I pre-ordered it and forgot that I pre-ordered it, and now I'm seeing that I cannot pre-order stuff anymore. I can't pre-order stuff. So
You
I feel
really
stupid.
can't.
And you can't get a refund. I never played it. I just pre-ordered it, and now I own it.
Was it on Steam, or did you buy it for the PlayStation 5?
PlayStation 5. So
okay.
Oh, sad day.
yeah,
Do
I'm
they
sorry.
not allow refunds on PlayStation?
I don't know how that works. Whatever, I just saw the initial trailer, was like, oh, that's interesting. I like the Arkham series. I trust them, and then huge mistake.
There's your biggest mistake, right? Yeah, you trusted them for sure. Well, we're gonna need to get together on a separate day and just do a giant 90s video game magazine stream, because those were my Bibles growing. Sorry, Mel.
It's okay.
Those were my Bibles growing up when I was a teenager, reading all that stuff. Like Sushi X, who I later found out in the EGM was like an amalgamation of all these different people. Like he was the dude for me. It was the fighting game, you know. So it was very much like today's YouTubers, where you found a writer and you gravitated to you know their thoughts and on the different genres that they wrote about or whatever. It was different time, man. I definitely miss the idea of open up a magazine and just flipping through it and staring at a screenshot and just trying to absorb as much information as you possibly could. It was awesome, man. Good time.
That was a great era of video game magazines. I was addicted to them, like EGM. I knew all those guys. A lot of those personalities were fake, actually, but which was fun. But like they built up a legend, right?
Yeah.
And it was just so amazing. It was the Wild West. It was. Do you remember Next Generation magazine?
Of course.
That magazine was so good, and I tried to hire one of the editors from that magazine. And I hired one, and then the other guy I tried to hire, I couldn't get the paperwork because all the really good game magazines were also in England, and it was a guy named Gary Whitta I tried to hire, and then he ended up coming to the States, and I didn't work out, but he became the editor of a magazine called Total Film. He did the US version of it, which still exists. And then Gary went on to write, he wrote the movie Rogue One. So he's a screenwriter now.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
I've
awesome.
known Gary since back then when he was a video game editor. It's weird how all that stuff
Wow.
evolves, but that was so fun. And I remember like, cause I had every system, like one thing I like to ask is there a video game where you actually were moved emotionally to tears? And there are games where like I remember like the Earthbound on the Super NES. That game's like 40 hours to finish it. It was a longish game for the time. And I remember the music of it. I got so choked up at the end. And it's all the little, it's you know, an RPG, one of the old school RPGs. That was so amazing. And then Star Control 3 on the 3DO. I loved that. So I still will like look up like playlists of just the music from Star Control. So yeah, I'm definitely, if you want to go like old school game lore nerd stuff, I could take a deep dive if you'd like, but probably not now because Melonie's here.
Yeah. Oh,
I'd rather hear what she has to say. And Blabs will talk pickle juice.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, let's just mark it on the calendar. We'll do some sort of special like 90s video game magazine. I think people would love that. I'm totally down for that. That's ridiculous. But
I did have GamePro. I subscribed to GamePro magazine.
Oh,
yeah.
I loved GamePro, and I loved all the magazines, but the editors at the time were all rivals. I mean, we would go to press events and hate each other. It was really weird. But not in a like, it was just like, oh, how'd you get those screenshots for that game? It was always about like one-upping everyone. But I've got a really good story about how the magazine, when I was editing it, made national news because the Attorney General of the state of California named Dan Lundgren sent a letter. I'll tell the longer version of the story, but basically he sent a letter out about violence in video games. And I was defending games like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, because if you're just a button masher, you're never going to win.
Right.
It's strategic. And I described playing a fighting video game as like a form of high-speed chess. You're planning things out. And we used to, this is old school. We would put our fingers on the top of the controller rather than use our thumbs, because the distance between a thumb going from here to this button, it's easier if you just got your fingers here. And it was like a tactic. And so, but I got in a public fight with this guy. It was in the New York Times and all these magazines. And I was debating the Attorney General. I'll tell you the longer version of the story because it gets really weird about how that played out.
Dude, I would love to hear that. Speaking of GamePro, by the way, big ups to Extra Zero. If you're a GamePro fan, you will recognize this. Do you remember that?
Oh
Chris?
yeah, isn't that when they had like the 3 out of 5 rating or whatever it was out of 5? That was like the
that was
the rating system.
Yeah,
yes.
The rating system.
Iconic.
Yeah.
You see, you can buy that on it's a 5.0. That was their 1 out of 5. That was their best right there.
amazing.
Oh yeah, that's great stuff. Anyways, I'm gonna geek out and nerd out all day talking about video game magazines. Like I said, they were my Bible back in the day. But let's get on to some news today. But first, Michael came in as a brand new member. Michael, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate that. That's huge. Cerny Off Stripe came in with 5 gifted memberships. Spectacular, putting us over our goal. 26 for the day. And Kongzilla came in with 10 gifted memberships. Look at that, Kongzilla.
Yay!
Look at that. That is great. Thank you very much. Man, what a great start to the show today, guys. Push-ups came in. Blabs, we read these off real quick.
Push-ups for $2 says, what are your most creative insults to call Twitch?
I don't have anything that creative. I just have my favorite word I can't say here.
Film Actors Guild. Anyway,
Sorry,
Zigmaster for 50. Mel, I beat Tomb Raider 1. Expansion is kicking my butt. Great to see you have something on your stream I miss in most of today's games. Gore!
Yay! I'm glad you're having fun with the Tomb Raider remaster.
Extra Zero came in and says, amazing to me how well the writing old game magazines hold up. It wasn't just journalism. These were legit writing that really sold you without video. True. And then Peter comes in and says, what if physical media moved to cartridges similar to the ones used in the Switch? Could save space and resource costs.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit yesterday. The idea of how, and Chris, I think I was watching, I was definitely watching one of your videos, but this is kind of where the thought process came from. But the idea of there's this loss of revenue in the movie space where it used to be filled with VHS and DVDs and just physical media. The idea of, I don't know, releasing, whether it's a flash drive or something as opposed to a DVD or a Blu-ray, you got to think that the movie industry is scrambling to find some sort of way to release that extra way to generate revenue in there. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the movie industry is in trouble. They bought into streaming thinking it was their pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and ended up basically destroying revenue streams for them that were so solid for years. You'd look at how a movie performed at the box office. You could estimate then a cost of, okay, we're going to sell the movie to HBO, then we're going to release it on Blu-ray. We're going to have they destroyed all of this. I really think that big tech is the problem. Big tech, they sort of look at every industry and say, hey, nice taxi business you got there. How about we take 30% and we shrink your industry? And so then Uber is created, or nice hotel industry you have there. How about we take 30% and shrink your industry? And then Airbnb is created, right? Like, I really think big tech has been this double-edged sword. What they do is they add convenience, but they destroy whole industries. And now you're seeing, I mean, the biggest players in the marketplace now are tech companies, right? Apple and Netflix. These are tech companies. And it's hurt the industry. And I'm glad to see people like Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve like lean into cinema, right? This is cinema. This is why you go to the movies. And I love that statement by Chris Nolan, where he says, you can get it on 4K. No one can cancel it from your streaming service, because I don't think anybody realized that, like, just because a movie's on a streaming service doesn't mean it's going to be there forever. Just because you buy a digital copy doesn't mean you own it forever. You only own it forever if you have the DVD sitting on your shelf. So I think physical media is making a comeback, but the film industry is in trouble. And I think part of it is like self-inflicted, like leaning into politics. I love the way you start the show, because you're all about common sense. That's me. No, I don't care. People can try to label me all they want. I'm part of the alt middle. Okay. I'm the far middle.
Welcome to the club, baby. Let's go.
Part of the alt middle.
Fellow logic person.
And you don't own my vote because I vote for a particular party. No, you got to earn it every single time. So I've always been very middle of the road when it comes to politics, but middle of the road is considered extreme for others. But I think it's smarter, and being an independent thinker, which I've always been an independent thinker. I've always questioned authority. That's my mantra, because I'm Gen X, right? We don't give an F. Don't care. Your insults don't work on me. Your labels, you don't get to do that to me. And I just ignore the trolls. You can talk about me all you want. It's a waste of your time. I'm not going to waste my time because I value it. So, I think the move to the alt middle is the way to go. Now, just when you're in the alt middle, you kind of look objectively, politically speaking, when it comes to voting at both sides. And then you go like, all right, well, who would do a better job based on what I've seen? If the run for president is a job interview, just take a look at the accomplishments, and then you decide if you're a thinking person. And I'll just leave it at that.
Chris, I'm sorry that you have to make such ridiculous, bigoted, and common sense statements.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
You're gonna fit right in here, Chris. I'll tell you
Good.
what.
No, I would. I watched your show. So
Did we just become best friends? Let's go. All right. Oh my God. All right, let's get into it. It's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for hard news.
Hard news.
All right. The big news in the video game space today, ladies and gentlemen, was there's a couple big stories. Nintendo announced the future plans for Pokemon, and coming off of the POW World domination over the last couple months of POW World just dominating Steam and everyone falling in love with that game and all sorts of server issues and blah blah blah, and that game saying, oh, it's Pokemon with guns, here it is. Pokemon has responded with the most vague, confusing trailer in the world about the future. A game called Pokemon Legends ZA, which I don't really know what the ZA is about, but we're just going to skip through this to avoid copyright here. But it's a lot of wire working, has kind of a Tron element to it.
Wow.
While going through and featuring, looks like some sort of like Tokyo Towerish type structure over here, as you see the Pokemon coming through. But it's a very vague trailer that leads to like a larger city attached to this, kind of a hub and spokes thing. If we're talking like Disney World and such, it's called Lumious City, as you can see on the bottom. And they announced Pokemon Legends. And what's interesting about this is not that they're announcing a new Pokemon game. That's great. Is that it says it's releasing simultaneously worldwide in 2025. Well, why would it be releasing simultaneously? Because this is the first time they've actually kind of publicly said that there will be a sequel to the Switch out by 2025. So they really kind of tip their hand there. So interesting stuff, to kind of say the least. I don't know. Pokemon. Melonie, you're a big Pokemon fan, right?
I do like Pokemon. I just don't like any of the newer stuff that they've done. So I'm not really sold on this right now. And I have to say that this little glimpse hasn't impressed me yet. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I also just really like the more old school charm. I like the 2D Pokemon games better anyway. So it's like, I wish instead of trying to do all of these grand, visually more bigger things, that they would just stick to what worked and what people liked and stick with the charm of the older ones and continue and expand on that.
Chris, you are a you were there when Pokemon kind of took the rise in the late 90s, right? They were big. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the direction of Pokemon? Like I said, there's a very vague trailer. It doesn't really tell you a whole lot. But at the same time, I don't know. Do you think that Pokemon needs to make a pretty drastic change to keep up with the likes of POW World?
I don't know. Everyone I know is still playing the Pokemon mobile game, right? Like that is
Pokemon
huge. I mean, a friend of mine, Walter, he went to Europe just so he could get Pokemon that were in Europe, and then ended up going to Japan also. And then he trades them.
Wow.
So he does literally a Pokemon international journey.
That's cool though.
Yeah, so
That is cool.
I've personally never been into Pokemon. I just haven't. Like, I understand as a brand how huge it is. I think a lot of that has to do with the cartoon. The cartoon was such a phenomenon. People forget those cartoons were released as feature films in theaters. That's how big they were. That solidified it with the younger generation that is now playing the mobile games and whatnot. I mean, if they're looking to launch a new version of the Switch, obviously you want, a first party game that's going to drive sales of it. So I think that's huge. And when it says worldwide, does that mean other platforms or just the new platform that they're launching? It is a little vague to me.
Right.
Releasing simultaneously worldwide, like what does that mean?
I think it's going to be released on both Switch, like the Switch 1 and whatever they're naming the Switch 2. And I kind of think it's also going to be a launch game because they're saying worldwide in 2025. And yesterday or like the day before, there was rumors saying that like the new Switch will be released in the Q1 of 2025. So this honestly would be a great incentive for people to buy the new Switch if it comes with like some type of exclusives or DLCs that are specific to the Switch 2, whatever the name is going to be, instead of just buying the game for the Switch that's already out. That's what I'm thinking.
Now, I think if they actually wanted to do something super, super ambitious, make a Pokemon MMO. Like, that's what people have been wanting that for so long. And I'm telling you, as much as I haven't liked the new stuff, if they're like, oh, this is going to be a Pokemon MMO, sign me up day one. I'm on that.
For a person who doesn't know what that is, what is MMO?
Massively multiplayer online game, just like think World of Warcraft.
Ah, that would actually be very cool.
Yeah, everybody in the same world, everybody, yeah. They would be very ambitious indeed, but people have been wanting that for a long time.
Well, I guess we'll find out in I don't know, about a year from now.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see a trailer or two, probably towards the tail end of summer, leading into the third and fourth quarter of the year. They'll announce something and you start building hype for it and everything associated with that. One time at Bandcamp came in and says, favorite light gun game. Mine's Silent Scope EX. Oh man, light gun games are awesome. I think of like Time Crisis and such. You know what the best light gun game is? It's Police Trainer. Police Trainer, where you're shooting the targets and stuff. That's my personal favorite. Chris, do you have a favorite light gun game?
Yeah, what was the one? Was it Virtua Cop? Like that. Like I loved that. And I miss those games like the Sega Saturn. I thought was so innovative. Panzer Dragoon and whatnot. Clockwork Knight. I mean, there were so many cool things in the Dreamcast. I love the like. And to me, when the Nintendo 64 came out, I love that controller. That controller was really made to play one game, which was Super Mario 64.
Right.
That game, just the sound of the music from that game just brings back so many memories. Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
Mel,
I never played a lot of them, so I'm just gonna have to be lame and say Duck Hunt.
I'll tell you this: one of my favorite, most underrated light gun games is there's a game that was an arcade game exclusive called Police 911, and it was almost like the Kinect before the Kinect, where you would stand in front of it and you would move. You instead of pressing a pedal to duck, you actually dodge the bullets. And you can see on the outside right here, the outside there's sensors that went around it, which detected your movement. It was really, really cool. And this was in the late 90s, early 2000s.
I think you mean 911, by the way.
Police 911. Yeah, Police 911. That's what I always called it. So, whatever.
A little bit of a difference.
all the same, Andrew says, hey, G2's actually had a chance to jump in today. Game mags were indeed pretty cool back in the day. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it. Glad you were able to make it today, man. Appreciate that. Snitchel from Chowder says, Chris, will you sign my copy of my big fat independent movie?
Absolutely. If I'm somewhere, bring it. In fact, I'm re-releasing that. It's a feature-length comedy I co-wrote and produced that came out in 2005. Bob Odenkirk's in it. Clint Howard. It's weird. There's like a ton of people in that cast. But yeah, I'm re-releasing it on Blu-ray later this year. And it'll be coming out on digital as well. But yeah, I'll sign it. That's rare. Actually, they're hard to get.
Maybe at Dragon Con. Let's go.
Yeah, Dragon Con. You guys have to go to Dragon Con. You will have so much fun. It's a party con.
Love it. Love it. Lovo Green says, Craig, if you heard of Ross Scott, he's a YouTuber who's trying to fight for legal preservation of video games. He's doing for the impending shutdown of The Crew, Ubisoft's live service driving game. Yeah, I think I've heard of them. There's a couple pretty big YouTubers that are big on video game preservation. I'll tell you, Chris, that's actually a really interesting topic to get into another day, is the idea of preserving these games, a la, how movies have done. I don't know, how would you describe the preservation of film over the last?
The state is terrible. I mean, there are whole, like, the studios didn't. In fact, I'm watching a documentary about this topic called Film is Dead. And they didn't think that their libraries had any value. they were dumping, and the old film stock was on nitrate, which is highly flammable. I mean, movie theaters used to go up in flames all the time. We're talking about way back in the day. But film preservation, there are whole libraries of movies just lost to time. So individual collectors would collect and save these reels of film to the point where Disney in the 1970s were buying prints of their old movies from collectors. And previous to that, they had like the FBI going after these people. It's really like a weird space. As for video game preservation, I used to love, first of all, pour one out for E3. I used to go every year. I loved E3. Before that, CES. And E3 had this section where they had like the video game museum.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it because when I lived in a bigger place, I saved every game system I had. NES, Atari. I had not only the Atari Jaguar, I had the Jaguar CD, which they made maybe 10 games for it.
Wow.
So I was in the Sega CD 32X. No one knows these things. Okay. This was this golden era in the 90s where game systems were battling for dominance. Now it's kind of just settled, right? It's on Steam or here or whatever. And the exclusives don't drive the platforms the way they used to. But yeah, I miss that old video game preservation and whatnot. So I do think it's really important because like a lot of the game systems, like the Odyssey 2 we were talking about, like I wouldn't even know where to get one. But there are like retro gaming places where you'll see them on display. So, but that display at E3, I always would go there and just take pictures and geek out.
There's a couple YouTube channels that are really focusing on taking these games, taking different versions of games and like dumping them and preserving their data. Pretty cool. I love that. I love that stuff. And it needs to happen. I think video game preservation is really important. There's all sorts of games that you just can't play. They're just lost forever, which is sad. Jag came in, says, Mel mentioned the Battle City rules before. I say they crossed the line with XYZ, then smashed it into bits and set it to fire with Pendulum and Link.
Okay, Battle City tournament like Yu-Gi-Oh rules. Yeah, that's the only way I like to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Kratos El Gratos came in with a $50 direct donation.
50.
Ridiculous. Thank you, Chris. Let's go. It says, Ocarina of Time hit hard. It has one of the most emotional and music-filled soundtracks of any game, and Nintendo Power was the GOAT. Chris, let Frank know that I'm planning on covering his tab in Vegas because I don't drink, but I want to support that bar. Let's go.
Oh my God. I'm going to probably cut back on my drinking, but I appreciate that. A lot of special stuff happening in Vegas. I have a big announcement I'll be making there, and I'm going to be giving away a lot of free stuff. So there is going to be, I haven't set up the RSVP yet. There's going to be a film threat meetup on the Tuesday as sort of a CinemaCon thing. I think it's I want to say April 9th. I'll double check that. But yeah, we're doing a special film threat meetup. It will be myself and Alan will definitely be there. So
awesome.
Come for the free stuff and hang out for the booze.
Pops came in with a $100 direct donation. Now, Chris, I don't know if you know this, but whenever somebody comes in with a $100 direct donation, they can request a song, which Blabs will sing for us, which is great.
For the record, I can't actually sing. Just point that out.
It says, Blabs and Mel, I never miss your show. Awesome seeing Chris Gore. Requesting that your show producer, Craig, serenades you girls with Betty Davis, Eyes.
You hear that, Craig?
Voice.
You're producer for today.
Oh.
I don't know Betty Davis, Eyes. Is that a real song? Because I Googled it.
You know who Betty Davis is?
Got Betty Davis eyes. Something like that.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Betty Davis did have beautiful eyes. Yeah.
I'll need to define that song. Is that by Kim Carnes? Is that the name? Oh, okay. Yeah. I know this one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Oh, listen, Pops, we'll get it. I will sing it and I will nail it for you by the end of this show. I promise you that. And Marty came in with a $10 direct donation. Says, Chris, Gen Xer here too. I think you're right. Common sense has been on the decline, and it's just sad. Marty,
let's bring it back. Make common sense great again. Why don't we just do that?
Oh man, that's so racist. It's ridiculous.
I feel like those words, like those
They have
words,
no meaning.
they've
Zero
lost their meaning now.
Yes.
You've overused it to the point. This is why Melonie Mac is my hero, because she gives no F's, and the way she fights back, and she does it with a smile. You can't. It literally is like a superpower when you realize those people can't hurt you. You know, like I love it, and so yeah. Shout out to Melonie, who's like she's right next to me. So
there she is. Her superpower, which is great. That's awesome. And big ups to Blake over on Rumble saying, finally rants on Android. Let's go. Hella respect for Melonie the other day on Twitch. Oh, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into Melonie getting banned. Dude came in and says, looks like Pokemon ZA is the sequel to Legends Arceus, set in the region of XY that never got a Z version. People were hyped for Z, and people did enjoy Legend Arceus as it was different. Okay, dude. Well, thanks for the perspective on that. As a guy who doesn't know anything about Pokemon, that's good to know. All right, let's move on to some sobering news. As unfortunately, I'm not going to say crash because it's not a crash, but we're teetering, man. It has been bloody in 2024 for the video game industry as Sony adds to that, laying off 900 more people, which is just sad to see. We saw Microsoft laying off folks. We've seen Sony laying off folks. Pretty much everybody but Nintendo has laid off folks this year. Sony's laying off 900 people. And cites changes in the way games are made, developed, and distributed. But the other major takeaway is how affected employees are treated in various countries, no doubt due to regulations. In the US, you're done today. In the UK, we're proposing to regulators the cuts, and we'll let you know. In Japan, you've got a career support program to help you find a new gig. That's interesting for sure. But yeah, I mean, it continues. And Blabs, you wanted to go into depth a little bit on Sony making these cuts and some of the missed marks they've had.
Because and if you should pull up that other tweet, they were talking about how this also affects Insomniac and Naughty Dog. Now, if you remember, Insomniac partners with Sweet Baby Inc. So they produced that Spider-Man Miles Morales video game that did okay. And I kind of think it's interesting how all these games that are, working with Sweet Baby Inc. and all these other companies that are trying to push the agenda in and are just hiring people from, COVID 2020 where everyone was able to work from home and it just blew up. And now they're like, oh, we don't actually need all these people. We don't, we don't need you because you're not actually making games for us. And we're going to go and trust Sweet Baby Inc. to write stories for us. Mediocre games come out and now we have layoffs. So it's kind of like, well, you get what you deserve. Unfortunately, there are people who are being fired who do not deserve to be fired, but a lot of these people, I think, shouldn't even be there in the first place. So it's like,
yeah, that's where I'm at too, because obviously I don't ever want to celebrate when people are losing their jobs, but at the same time, there are way too many people employed at these companies. These games budgets are way too expensive. They're producing they're trying to make games into movies, and let movies be movies and let video games be video games. So instead of having these $100, $200 million budgets for these games, let's lower that a bit and focus on the actual gameplay instead of all of these super expensive cutscenes that are taking precedence over everything else. So and of course I'm going to talk about Tomb Raider, but the Tomb Raider remasters, these have been very successful. Obviously, the budget for this is significantly lower than what we're seeing for these mainstream new titles. So because they're downsizing a lot of these companies, and because we are seeing smaller budget games become very successful, maybe the future of the gaming industry can improve and can focus on actual gaming again.
I think part of this too is middle management bloat. There are so many useless jobs.
Yes.
So many useless jobs. And, because all industries now, not just, we've been doing stories on Film Threat, on the D-Files, Alan Ng's series of stories, all the DEI nonsense that has infected everything from the Writers Guild of America to every aspect of entertainment and video games, and it's such a grift, if you ask me. I really think rather than focusing on like the identities of people you hire, you should just hire gamers. I think gamers,
Yes.
and the film industry, I can speak to the film industry, has basically bowed to several different grifts that are a waste of money. One, COVID compliance. If you look at the credits of a lot of movies, they have a whole list of people that are COVID compliance officers. Zone 1 is where the actors are. Zone 2, you have to wear masks. It's such a grift, whatever. The other thing, the grift is all the DEI stuff, right? And all these rules. And look, most of the Oscar winners from the past would not be nominated for Best Picture because of these rules that the Academy put on itself. So DEI, another thing, right? The other thing is intimacy coordinator, which happened after Me Too, right? So these are all, this has nothing to do with making movies. And we did a whole story on the Film Thread channel, which was clipped, that actually Elon Musk tweeted out. This video about the DEI rules at Amazon are particularly oppressive and dystopian because what it is the HR department telling you how to write jokes. It was so, the best thing was Alan reading the thing about Asians in an accent. That was the best. I think we should clip that. He did like a Chinese accent. Anyways, Alan can do whatever he wants. But like,
hey,
so
we can too. It's okay. It's no one can. You can't cancel us. Fuck off. You know, like
Exactly.
it's okay.
Yeah, look, I work for myself. I don't know. Good luck canceling me, whatever.
Right.
But look, and I'm common sense, which I think isn't a left or right thing. It's just, it's something we can all agree on. We used to be able to, but when it comes to this, it's bloat. There are a lot of jobs you don't need. One of the other biggest examples of this bloat, I'm sure everyone here saw Godzilla -1.
Yes. Loved it.
So good. But that movie was made for under $15 million with the VFX crew. The director was also the VFX supervisor. There were 35 people. To compare, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had over 1,000 people listed in the credits having worked on the VFX, and that movie looks like crap. So it's Hollywood cannot efficiently make a movie anymore. They need to change the business model. That doesn't mean you can't make a movie like Dune Part 2, which costs half of what the Marvels cost. It was $160 million for Dune Part 2. The Marvels cost $300 million. I ask, why did the Marvels cost that? Middle management bloat, jobs you don't need, jobs that were invented just a few years ago that are unnecessary. So look, like you, Melonie, I don't want, it's sad to see people lose their jobs, but you know what? I think people need to push back against this.
Yeah.
Need to push back against these jobs or these, these mandates or dictations that women will be portrayed this way. You know what? And look, I'm going to admit something. I'm going to admit something right now, and I'm not sure how you're going to feel about this.
Okay.
When I play a video game and I get to choose a character, I always choose a female character. Now, why do I do that? Because I want to see a sexy woman. When I played Cyberpunk 2077, I played as a woman. I don't see myself as, I just want to look at a attractive woman for the, I don't want to look at some guy's butt. Okay?
I get that. And on Elden Ring, I designed a super attractive guy, and that's what I played as.
What's wrong with
so
that?
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to tell both of you that you're both trans. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. Chris,
Maybe we can't get canceled now.
Right. You have trans tendency, guys. I'm sorry. You need to go through gender reaffirming care. Chris, are you familiar with Sweet Baby Inc? Have you heard of this company?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like the center of the video game industry's DEI initiative, and they are banking right now based
Their
off of
clients are like everybody.
Yeah. So I saw this tweet. This really kind of, I think this is pretty accurate. This guy Mike says it feels like 1983 all over again. That's when the video game crash happened back in. He says feels like 1983 happened all over again in the games industry. Oversaturated marketplace, deeply discounted games, closures and layoffs, and Nintendo potentially on the horizon with something new. Now, 40 years later, And history may be repeating itself over and over again, which is crazy to think about. Do you think the idea of like, could we actually see a video game crash again?
Nobody ever learns from history, so yes.
It's happening because I think for the most part, I think gamers they're apolitical. They're not political at all. They don't care. They just like great gameplay, which is not focused on. And having played some recent games, because I have the PlayStation membership where you can like download the 4 free games. So I'll play games for like, 20 minutes and go, why is this so lame? So many games. And I think it's not focusing on gameplay. I want to know that like I actually that the game not only, has like it must require some type of skill. So I feel like I've accomplished something.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm just going from point A to point B to watch another cutscene.
Exactly.
That's not a game. That's not a game. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not a game. I want to feel like I'm in the world. And a lot of times I don't need a whole tutorial. I've been playing games for a long time. The best tutorials are the ones where there's no tutorial, where you learn as you play and that sense of discovery, right? Like, so that's been lost. So there's a lot of just bad games, and there's a lot of people who aren't gamers making games. I guarantee these people from Sweet Baby are just like, it's a reflection of a narcissistic segment of our society that wants to impose their views on everyone else. I don't like that. Not down with it. And you're seeing the industry suffer as a result. And I think that any gaming company that just leans into gameplay and things that like, look, I want to see an attractive person, not just in my movies, but also in my games. I don't know why that is such a, you know what it is? It's hot phobic.
Clearly.
I think I coined that term, on FNT. It's hot phobic. It's people being prejudicial against attractive people.
Yeah, it's true.
Scary. That's where we're at today. It's a mess. It's a mess for sure. Well, I guess we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what, who gets cut next, because it seems like it's going to continue to happen as we move ahead in 2024, as these initiatives, this bloat continues to weigh on these companies, and we'll see where it all goes. Let's move on, shall we? Once again, guys, thanks so much for the super chats, the direct donations. I see all of them. We'll get to them all before the end of the show. So thank you guys very much. And of course, I have the song coming from Pops, which I'm looking forward to doing. This got popped up on the internet about an hour before we went live. And this is, I'll tell you what, I don't know how I feel about this one, but there's a company that is working on a device that uses AI to release synths matching your gameplay as you are playing video games. Did you say, look, Chris literally covered his face. Oh, shit. I would love to hear what's a hard pass on this.
I'm good.
That's
Maybe
gonna go to
that's gonna
go to the land of peripherals that never took off.
Yeah.
You ever go to any used gaming store, you're gonna see a lot of guitars and drum sets at a used game store, right? And I actually loved the Rock Band games. I finished it. I did the ultimate challenge or whatever. Finished that game with a group of friends. It was fun, but those games were a novelty. The game set thing is weird because there's a movie, they have that technology. They've had it for movies since the 70s. There's a movie that John Waters directed called Polyester that I actually have the scratch and sniff card. I can get it for you. Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. But that would be actually a fun segment to do, is the weirdest game peripherals that never succeeded. You look at the Kinect. How is that even a thing? It was so dumb. You had to stand there and your arm had to go like this to pause. You remember how it worked? It was so dumb. Anyways, I'll be right back.
Yeah, but listen, I will show you the greatest and worst video game peripheral of all time. I'll show it to you when Chris gets back.
Okay.
But this game scent thing, like the fact that it's happened in movies before, it's something that's been talked about for a long time. This immersive environment. What would you possibly want? Why would you want to smell?
Unless it's like a cooking simulator game or something like that.
Oh, a cooking game, that'd be fun.
Something like that would be okay, but there's a lot of games out there. Think about what kind of games there are.
I know. Oh wow!
So this is from the movie Polyester, starring Divine and Tab Hunter. It's a weird, if you know the work of John Waters, his movies are weird. And they're super fun and offensive. Now on the back of it, it has odorama. And so what you would do is a number would pop up on screen. And when you saw the number, you had to take the card, scratch it, and smell it. Oh my God. Number 2 is exactly as described.
Oh no.
It smells like a fart. It smells like a fart. So this is from the 70s. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. So I don't know. I mean, for a cooking game, it could be kind of fun, but
You smell
I mean,
pizza or something.
Oh, like Overcooked, that game. And if you're burning something, you can smell
Start
it burning.
smelling
So you're like,
burn.
"Ah!"
I want Melonie to chop onions in that game so she can.
Oh,
smell
So, Chris, while you were scouring for things, I scoured for something as well.
Uh-oh.
You mentioned the worst video game peripheral of all time,
Yeah.
which may also be the best. I scoured for a video that we did back in the Screw Attack days for the top 10. It was the best and worst gaming peripherals. And I had this video pulled up, and I just think it's important. I could describe it, but I'm going to let myself describe it from 15, 16, 17 years ago.
Oh my God.
Here it is. Check this out.
Now you can argue that some of those should or shouldn't be in the top 5.
Look at those young men.
The hair.
One should be on everybody's list at number 1.
You know, that's right. The trans vibrator for the PS2.
No.
The what?
It's called the trans vibrator for the PlayStation 2. Check this out. We actually got this girl who was a friend of ours to come and do this. This is spectacular. Check this out.
Oh my goodness.
Guys, if you want to get your girlfriend into gaming, all you have to do is import this thing from Japan.
Ladies, just pop in a copy of Res for your PS2 and pop this thing on your Panda, and bam, you are enjoying some trance vibrations in your pants. The faster the beat, the faster the vibration. This thing will never make your girl want to get off your PS2 again.
Do we really need to justify the trans vibrator? I mean, come on. Anything that puts a smile on a girl's face that's video game related has to be number 1. Sexy.
Look at that
That
thing
looks
go.
like an old Nokia phone.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's the first thing I thought of when you're like, what's the best and worst? And that is the best and the worst in one, which is great. So there you go.
God.
No thanks.
Oh, you okay. Anyways, look out for Game Sent coming soon.
Game Sent.
They can come in a bundle. There you go. Game
Oh my
Sent with
God,
the trans
you can-
vibrator.
No.
Buy one and gift one to your friend. Yeah.
The trans vibrator and Game Sent returning. Oh my gosh, that's the worst thing in the world. All right, let's go to our lead story today. Good Lord. All right, this is just insane. I don't even know how we take a hard right turn right there. As news came out late yesterday that Mary Poppins is being changed. As in the UK, it has discriminatory language. So now it's more or less in the US, it would be like a G. Now it's getting rated PG. Over in Europe, there's like a U rating. Now it's being rated PG. So parental guidance is advised for Mary Poppins, a movie about a chimney sweeper and a lovely
Nanny.
nanny dancing with penguins. Now, cartoon penguins is now. We got to get our parents out. Chris, did you see this news story?
I did not, but I'll just say this is not a surprise. So much of Disney's history now, when you look at like their older films, comes with some sort of trigger warning. There's one on Peter Pan. There's one on like Lady and the Tramp. I mean, we basically have leaned into the stupidity of so many people that don't understand humor, that don't understand context, and live in a world of presentism where we judge, we're judging art from the past by our present point of views. I remember when I was a kid, it was a weird thing that I would watch movies. I would watch black and white movies when I was a kid because those were old films from the 1940s, 1930s. One of the things I observed was in order to calm a woman down, just slap her in the face and shake her and tell her to calm down. Now, I thought that was weird, but I didn't think I wanted to cancel the movie or whatever. I understood that like that was probably not a good thing to do, but it's because I have a brain and I think. A lot of the people that are, I don't know that anyone is asking for these trigger warnings. I think this is something it's an effort actually to erase pop culture history. The sanitization of books is an abomination. Why is this not being, where's the outrage for all of this? It's ridiculous. And most recently, HBO Max, and they did this a while ago, but people just noticed it. We did a video on it, Blazing Saddles, which is a brilliant movie written by Mel Brooks and Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor is a black comedian for those who don't know his work. He wrote the movie, and Blazing Saddles is a movie that mocks racism, but they use the N-word quite a bit in this film. It's a way to mock it. There is a whole video intro that you on Max, if you can watch Blazing Saddles, but you have to suffer through a whole intro explaining it in historical context.
Really?
Yes, you can you can find it. It's on Max right now. Wow. We are bending the bell curve towards the idiots. And I'm done. My tolerance for idiots. This is again another reason why Melonie Mac's my hero, because you do not suffer fools. You don't care. Me, I post and ghost. I don't even engage with a lot of these people because they're so stupid, or I mock them in a way where they don't even know they're being mocked. And it's like, wait, was that a joke? It's like, yes, this is how humor works. So my tolerance level for the intolerant is done. I'm just done with it. I've reached a breaking point because you kind of think, oh, that's just a kid. They'll figure it out. Or this is someone who's maybe they're new to X and they don't know irony. You know, they don't get things, or they can't read context or sarcasm. And I've always been, you know, I've seen, because I started doing TV in the late 90s. So I'm the same now as I was back then, as the same as I was in the early 90s. I am a sarcastic a-hole. And if you haven't noticed that, I do care about, I want to entertain people, kind of make you laugh, maybe make you think. The think part is optional. But it really is irritating. This Mary Poppins changing the rating on it is ridiculous. And that people can't understand that it's so offensive to me, these types of things, the Blazing Saddle ones in particular, because that movie is so much. As a kid, I loved that movie because it was the first movie I ever saw that had a fart joke in it. And they cut, when they played it on television, they cut the farts, but it came out in re-release. I got to see it with their eating beans at the campfire and you hear farts. Okay. Juvenile sense of humor. I will say this. Farts are still funny, even at my age. Okay. I still think farts are funny. I think it's a man thing. Maybe men are predisposed to laugh at farts.
Everybody likes farts. Everybody likes boobs. That's it. It's really true.
That's how we bond.
Yeah, it's true. You may be asking yourself, why did they reclassify?
Yeah.
Okay. The reclassification is due to the use of the word Hottentots. The dated term was historically used by Europeans to refer to the Ko, a group of nomadic herders in South Africa, but is now regarded as racially offensive. Hottentots. So,
wow.
Mel, anytime you want to say your gamer word, you can just say Hottentots.
Hottentots. All right, there we go. I'll be using that one.
When was this said in the movie? I don't even remember that line.
I don't either.
Nobody does. But hey, let's change it, which is crazy. Yeah. So there you go. Now we're not done yet because there's also been censoring of another movie which came out in the last 6 months or so, as Mean Girls. The new Mean Girls reboot has also been edited. And a joke referencing the term fire crotch has been removed from the digital version after Lindsay Lohan publicly took issue with it. So you can't say fire crotch anymore.
I never knew what fire crotch was. I'm
I
not
don't
sure
either.
but I
Fire
love the
crotch?
term. I may have to use it a lot. Fire crotch.
It just-
that is
you're
what's
redhead.
evil. That's what's
Oh,
evil
that's
about all
okay.
these digital movies that are coming out. You can change them. So even if you bought and purchased a digital film, they can upload a new master file and change the movies. This is Orwellian. This is 1984 stuff. It's disgusting. So, and this is why you need to buy and treasure your physical media now. I think there's a whole move towards that. And it's interesting how tactile physical things like, albums, vinyl has made a comeback. I think 4K Blu-rays are big. And this censoring that from the theatrical, and I saw Mean Girls, it was whatever. I'm not the target audience. That's all I'll say. But it was fine. And I actually don't mind musicals. I like musicals actually. But yeah, no, it was that's kind of ridiculous. And bowing to the mob, and when I say mob, not just the mob online, you're talking about underlings that work at these companies. Okay. So we're talking about the underlings and middle management, and upper management doesn't have a backbone to say no, or to fire people. There's so much happening in the film industry now where the people that are veterans that have worked forever, there's a younger generation that's sort of coming up. They're all tattletales. They're all hypersensitive tattletales. I could tell you so many stories since we started exposing this stuff on Film Threat, the website and the YouTube channel. We started exposing this stuff, and people have come forward to me with the dumbest stories. And it's all about, why are you? I would fire these people.
Yeah.
I would fire these people and get rid of them. If you're going to complain about it, go away. Because what it does is it puts shackles on creators to live in fear of a joke that's a certain way, or everything is sort of parsed out. No. Be done with it. And upper management's got to get a backbone and just fire the people who complain so that they get the message that your intolerance is not tolerated.
Yeah. And speaking of tattletales, it's like back in the day, we made fun of tattletales. It's like, you didn't want to do that. There's that Randall character on Recess who would go to what was her? Was she the professor, that old lady, or was she the principal? And he would just
principal.
Yeah, and he would just have his little notepad and he would observe everything everyone was doing and tattle on people. And now all of these cancel pigs online, like they're all Randalls and they have no shame about it. I don't get it.
Well, that's the thing, is they don't have power over you. Other people give them power.
Yeah.
Right? They have no power. So when you give them power, they're effing mad and they're not worth paying attention to. So I'm just disgusted by all this stuff. It really is irritating and this has happened across everything. It's happened in journalism, in media, in video games, in movies, in TV, in everywhere are tolerating this new generation's sense of entitlement, narcissism, and intolerance. And be done. I mean, it used to be the phrase, don't trust anyone over 30. I don't trust anyone under 30. And I've had so many bad experiences. We used to hire interns all the time.
Except Blabs. We trust you, Blabs.
Yes, we trust Blabs.
Yeah, we're still working on that. I don't know a little bit.
But it's this new generation has just, I don't know why we're bowing to their wishes. Just no. You want to hang, you want to have an adult job and get a paycheck. This is what you're going to do. You're not here to tattle on people. So I don't know why that decision was made. And that's probably the more interesting part of that story.
What is the over under on Kindergarten Cop getting a warning on it? For boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Like one of the greatest lines in cinematic history.
There's another conversation about that in Life of Brian as well, that just predicted. Have you seen that clip where they talk about like one of the characters in it that's like an apostle is like, look, I want it's a man saying, but I want the right to be able to get pregnant. And it goes, and it's the dumbest conversation. It's just like, oh, this was like in the 80s, right? Like, it's so fun. I grew up watching Monty Python, but also back to the thing about what was that phrase, the slur, tater?
Hottentot.
Okay.
Yes.
I grew up in Michigan, okay, just outside of Detroit, suburbs of Detroit. My family's Polish and Russian, German, English, Irish. I'm like, you're a pet and orgy. Okay, so I'm all those different things, but Polish, I was a Polak. I heard so many Polish jokes when I was a kid, but I was proud of my Polish heritage. We ate pierogis and guamki, and you'd hear the, how many Polacks does it take to screw in a light bulb, jokes like that. I didn't care. It was just like, whatever. I'm proud of being Polish, but it didn't bug me, right? So I don't know, like, how deep are we going to go? And it's usually when you drill down, it's always white women, white female progressives that are the ones pushing it. It's always that group that are sort of like, on behalf of the so-called offended group, we're going to fight because we want to be saviors. It's so annoying.
Oh, yeah.
It literally is. I have a friend, he is of Indian descent. He is a director. He does commercials and whatnot. And I don't want to say his name, but good friend of mine. And he's constantly saying they're the ones that are ruining the industry. They're the ones that are pushing all this stuff. It's not, quote, POCs. It's this particular group of people.
The irony of all that is that if they were fired, then it would be so much more diverse. That's the irony of the whole thing, right? Like, you get rid of all of them, and then all of a sudden, Black people, Asian, they all have more jobs. There you go. Congratulations. And everything goes back to normal, which is great.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, we'll be looking out for the kindergarten cop warning, the trigger warning before soon, which will definitely happening. Let's go from the bad of cinema to the good of cinema. And that is Dune 2 is out now. Chris, you have seen this movie twice. And did you, the most important question right off the bat, obviously, is everybody wants to know, do you have the popcorn cup? Did you get them? Did you get the?
Yeah, I do. Don't you see them? There's one here.
Oh,
There's
there it
one
is.
here. There's another one there. There's even another one like right there.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 3 of them.
And then my Shakespeare bust has the Dune. It's the prop replica of the mask.
Oh.
How many Dune popcorn buckets is too many? I don't know. I think I have 4.
There's never too many. You're good.
But I'll tell you what, the movie, this is pure cinema. This is a type of movie Hollywood can't make anymore. And Denis Villeneuve, because he financed it through international sources, wasn't necessarily a slave to the studio, to Warner Brothers, was able to put together an epic conclusion to Dune Part 1. Now, here's the thing. I'm in 2 minds about the movie. Movie's a 9.5 or 10 out of 10 as a movie. If you're a book fan, you're going to have nitpicks. I am a fan of the book. I read it when I was like 14 the first time. I've read it like 4 or 5 times. It's such an experience. The world building is so incredible that I'm missing things that aren't in the movie, but if you don't know they're not there, you don't miss it.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I do have a lot of problems with it, but there's such nitpicks. I mean, I already have tickets to see it again on Thursday.
Oh,
So good. I saw Ryan Kinnell's review and he raved about it. So the fact, and Ryan is, Ryan, how tough he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he loved it. I'm predisposed to like Dune because I'm a fan of the books, and I even liked the old David Lynch movie, even though it's for the effects of the time were not that great. But yeah, no, it's spectacular. You need to see it in IMAX. If you can see it IMAX 70 millimeter, do it.
Okay.
It's a cinematic experience. For me, though, I'm like, God, the movie's 2 hours and 45 minutes. I wish it was 30 minutes or an hour longer because it's so epic in scale. Yeah.
Oh
But
my goodness.
Does time
is a
fly when
slow-
you're watching it?
What's
Or, like,
that?
does time fly when you're watching it, or do you actually feel like, here we go, it's still going?
No. There's certain things that are slow, but when you get to these payoff moments, and in particular, I don't know how to say this, but there's going to be some fire crotches in the audience from Austin Butler as Fade Routha. So Fade Routha, played by Sting in the David Lynch movie. Austin Butler in this movie is so insanely evil. He is the villain we wanted Kylo Ren to be. I think we all Kylo Ren is a bitch, let's be honest, right?
Emo soy boy, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Austin Butler as Fade Routha is so chilling. I mean, the movie is borderline R-rated for some of the violence. Like, there's violence that happens off camera. If they just extend the frame, the things that you would, and they cut away quickly from things happening, there's a lot. So
I love violence.
You're gonna love Dune then. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of violence. And it's here's the thing also, on a quick side note, we become so used to everything looks like Star Wars, right? When Star Wars came out, it was so far ahead of its time, so different, and then everyone copied it. So when you see a laser blast in a movie, it's just a ripoff of Star Wars. It's a blast that animates, right? What Dune did is it changed the language of science fiction. This is for adults. This is not for kids. I think kids might be depending on their age, probably be bored. Okay. And it's not like a happy victory, like hooray, because the character of Paul Atreides is actually based on JFK, John F. Kennedy. When the book came out in 1965, Frank Herbert hated JFK. I'll tell you why. Because he's this charismatic leader. He's super inspiring. He's really good looking. JFK might be, if you want to rate the president's a level of hot, which would be JFK to not, which probably be Biden and Nixon. Up there for hot is going to be JFK. So, but JFK also got us involved in Vietnam and also got us involved in what's turned into America's Forever War, right? He was a charismatic leader that led America down a path that Vietnam is considered, not a great part of our history, right?
Right.
And so this is who Paul Atreides is based on. It's a warning about charismatic leaders. He's no white savior, as people criticize, who've never read the book. And this is all about the dangers of, because I personally think all politicians are evil, honestly. I think if you want that kind of power, like I don't trust them. So that's what this movie's about. I hope people get that message out of it. And it's not like a super like, yay, we blew up the Death Star. I feel like Star Wars has not aged up with audiences, meaning Star Wars is for children and it's gotten progressively dumber. And you look at even the Harry Potter films, whatever you think of Harry Potter, the books and films, they aged up with the audience. They got more adult and they got more serious. Whereas the first few films and books, they're for kids. And then it gets more and more young adult and then more adult. Star Wars has never done that. It's actually gotten dumber from the first two films to what they produced. And what Dune is, it's Star Wars for adults. It's politics. It's very influenced. Game of Thrones was actually influenced by Dune, and George R.R. Martin has talked about that. So there's my Dune rant. Sorry, I went too long.
I am excited because I loved the first Dune movie. Loved it. I didn't read the book, so I'm not going to have all those little critiques and stuff with the second. So I can't wait. That sounds
I can't wait to hear your review. I hope you do a review, Melanie.
Okay. All right.
Do a review.
Was there an original Dune movie? This is a remake of Dune, right?
It's based on the novel. Okay. There was a Dune movie in 1984 directed by David Lynch.
Right.
Okay. Starring Kyle MacLachlan. Then there was a Dune miniseries on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's like 6 hours. And that came out in 2000. It's okay. And then now, of course, Denis Villeneuve's Dune, which is broken up. It's basically one movie in two parts because it picks up directly after Dune Part 1 ends. It's like just the movie keeps going.
Cool.
So I can't wait for you all to see it. Like I'm dying to hear other people's opinions.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Maybe we'll all need to go out and get our own popcorn buckets.
All right. Can't wait. Someone in chat's like, Melanie, what do you mean you like violence? Don't you read the Bible? Have you read the Bible? It is so violent.
It's violent. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
How are all the actors? Because Zendaya is so overhyped nowadays. Like, is she actually good in it, or is she just like
she's in my opinion, she's the weakest part of the movie. If you ask me,
Okay.
I don't want to spoil anything. She's not a girl boss. She's very like her character in the book is she's a warrior and she's in love with Paul. In this, she's in love with Paul, but she's skeptical of him. And that's not a part of the book. And that's, I think, the biggest change. We did a live stream yesterday. I have a new show called Versus, which is all about, it's you know, my version of FNT or Tuesday Night's Main Event, whatever group show. We all talk. And I had Nerd Cookies on there and Comic Book Girl 19, Danica. They're like Dune scholars, both of them. And they had issues, probably more issues than I did. So, but I think it's one of those movies you want to see more than once, because even I walked away after the first time I saw it. I kind of had to sit with my thoughts and let it germinate, you know, and percolate in my mind. But there's so many layers to it. I mean, you may want to read the book, Melonie, after.
Okay.
There's a lot of religious undertones.
Very cool.
And
okay.
it's really interesting, that aspect of it. So, because Paul Atreides is like a Christ-like figure, and he resists it. The way, excuse me, the way I describe Dune to maybe someone who's a Star Wars fan, imagine if Anakin Skywalker knew he was going to become Darth Vader. He just knew it. Like that was his destiny. He knew it. And it was like, how do I undo that? How do I stop that? From happening? How do I prevent this terrible fate? Like I'm destined to be this Messiah. How do I stop it from happening? And so it's really, so yeah, people are saying, yeah, Paul Atreides is basically Anakin Skywalker.
I love Anakin too. He's my favorite. So
this is like a better version of Anakin, if you ask me.
All right.
I've said too much. I've said too much.
Okay. I can't wait to watch it.
Okay, cool.
Well, these I mean, it's getting incredible reviews. Over on Rotten Tomatoes, 97%, which is very, very high on the overall, you know, biggest movies in history scale. You know, with the likes of Aliens and E.T. and the Terminator, Mad Max Fury Road, Empire Strikes Back. It's at 97%. Where those, it's in pretty rare company. So we'll see kind of what happens. You know, and really, you've seen it twice. Is there any like DEI stuff, or is it just like it's just a great story?
Well, here's what's weird is for the first Dune, there is a character that they did gender and race swap because Denis was told by the studio, you have to diversify the cast. I mean, look, there's Asian representation, right? Jason Momoa, there was a character named Dr. Yui in the first Dune Part 1, but there's a character named Liet Kynes that they gender and race swapped. It's fine. I prefer Max von Sydow's performance in the 84 Dune, but whatever. But everything seems organic because really Dune, the book, was influenced quite a bit by Lawrence of Arabia, which is actually based on a true story. You should see that film with Peter O'Toole. Epic. I've seen it in a theater when I was a kid. It's an epic scale. Dune kind of came from that. And also the fact that Frank Herbert was an ecologist. He was a journalist who studied ecology. And he wrote this novel that there were like 6 novels written by Frank Herbert. They did 5 sequels. And it's just, there's so many layers to it. It really is. I mean, it's Game of Thrones in space with Anakin Skywalker as the lead. So it's so much smarter and begs so much discussion. I mean, we're going to be talking about this movie for years, and this is the thing that bugs me a little bit. They set up a Dune Part 3.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that they needed to do that, but there's a script that already exists. They're going to make it. I don't know when they're going to make it because it takes place like in the book, the Part 3, the novel, which is Dune Messiah, takes place about 15 years later. So it's very different story. It's the fallout of events from the first film. Wow. I cannot say, I don't want to say any spoilers if you haven't read the book or even seen those other movies. I just am dying to hear what other people think. So,
all right.
Well, I guess we'll find out real soon. I'll tell you, man, it is rare that you find somebody who is as knowledgeable and as passionate about something like movies as you are, Chris. Like the way that you can just kind of talk
Yeah.
about it and just and you like it's pretty rare. So I just want to like it's really fascinating to listen to you talk about all these things, and your passion seeps through the screen, which is really, really cool. So
thanks.
all right, let's move on because we only got a few minutes left, but we have a lot of super chats to get to.
Cool.
But I do want to touch on this. Melanie Mac has been banned on Twitch. Now this has been
Wait, again?
No, it's the same one. It's the same one from the other day.
we haven't had you on. We haven't had you on to let you talk about this.
Right.
So, I know we saw the clip that you posted on your YouTube channel. And then we saw Asmongold come in and do his thing and talk about this. And you put a very like nice response out on X saying like, you don't have anything harsh to say about it. And I thought this was really, I would just love for you to kind of talk about this experience and just in general.
Yeah. So basically I was multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube because a lot of people are like, well, why don't you stream on YouTube now? Why don't you stream on Kick now? I already was multi-streaming to all 3 platforms. Twitch gave me a 2-week ban. The other 2 platforms didn't do anything. So basically, before I started my stream, I just had a candid discussion that was involving the LGBT identities, things like that. And me being a Christian, I was sharing my perspective biblically around that. And because of that, Twitch didn't like it. Twitch called it hate speech, even though I did not call for any sort of violence. I didn't call for people to harass people or anything like that. It was just like, hey, this is what the Bible says. This is what I believe. And so yeah, so that happened. Then Asmongold reacted to it. He built a giant straw man argument around it. And he got colossally ratioed on his clips channel. Last I checked, it was at like 300,000 views, and almost all the comments had my back from people, whether they agreed with me or didn't. They were like, some people who didn't agree with me were like, hey, we may not agree with this, but she shouldn't be banned for her religious beliefs and for expressing her religious beliefs. And so, yeah, even though Asmongold did have a lot of negative things to say about my take and about me and all that kind of stuff, I didn't take it personal because I think ultimately I was more happy that he showed it and my message got out there. It's like, that's how I took it. It was like, I would rather people hear me out and disagree with me than not even hear me out at all. And so it's like, okay, he played it. He let me say what I said. He said what he said. He's allowed to disagree. I think that he was being unreasonable, but it's fine. I don't expect everybody to agree with me, and he can disagree with me. I'm not going to have an issue with that. And, so that's why I made the statement that I did about him. I was like, I don't have anything mean to say about him. I wasn't ever mad at him for making that. I was glad that he did. So it's all good to me. And I don't give a crap about Twitch. Some people are celebrating and like, yay, oh, okay, now you're gonna have to start an OnlyFans. And it's just a joke. Like, Twitch was my lowest revenue source, and I wasn't even streaming on there for the longest time, and I was like, oh, they allow multi-streaming now, might as well multi-stream there. So I don't give a crap like that. I made a clip and tagged Twitch on it, and I was like, you're gonna have to ban me longer than that. And then I dropped my favorite word. So it's like, go ahead, perma ban me. I don't give a crap. I don't need Twitch. Twitch is a dying platform anyway. So hey, that's just what it is.
Melanie, sorry,
Chris.
Do you feel that increasingly things are becoming anti-Christian?
Yes.
And it's I notice it so often because I'm not particularly religious, but Christian values are kind of like in my DNA from my family, and I went to catechism when I was a kid, and I've just sort of lived the ideals, but I'm not super religious. But I just feel like a lot of them are just common sense. Like, I just saw this movie quick recommendation after you see Dune Part 2, Ordinary Angels.
Mhm.
Okay, Ordinary Angels stars Alan Ritchson. He's a father. His daughter needs a liver transplant to live. It's based on a true story. I don't want to ruin the film. They're calling it a faith-based movie. It's the character just goes to church. That's
Right.
all. It doesn't push any religion. It doesn't push any particular denomination or whatever. It's just the character goes to church with his
Right.
kids, but they're calling it faith-based. And this movie, by the way, beat Madam Web at the box office
Oh,
last
that.
weekend.
Yeah.
So little recommendation. But why are they calling it faith-based? It's just, it used to be that Christian values were just sort of embedded in Hollywood. Hollywood was probably more conservative, and there were movies. When you look at a lot of movies of the past, just religion was more a part of people's lives, which I think was a good thing because it
right.
kept us grounded with common values. Even if you're not religious, we share the same values. I'm seeing this happening, and it really is. It's really concerning to me, and I think it's turned off. It's to the point where modern Hollywood can't write a hero because they don't have those
Right.
values.
Exactly. And
Curious your thoughts.
I think that's one reason why there is such a huge pushback against Christianity in general, is because here we have a book, like a guideline with a moral code in it. And people are all about subjective morality right now. They want to choose their own moral values, and there's a slippery slope that comes with that, because if you're making yourself your own god, and when you just place your moral values on, oh well, this is what I believe, and you can't expect everybody to agree with you on that. And this is one reason why I absolutely love being a Christian, is that I can say, look, I'm getting my moral values from the Bible, not my own opinions. Because if I were to make up my own moral values, would they be exactly like the Bible? No, but I know that God knows more than I know. And so that gives me comfort in all that. And that is something that I think has helped society in the past, when it's like, hey, look, we have concrete morals right here. And it's not up for, there's not all this subjectivity around it, and oh, this is my truth and your truth and this and that. It's like, okay, hey guys, we've got it all here. It's concrete. And society hates that, because society wants to be able to do whatever they want, and they want to make up their own morality system.
It's weird because I've
You know,
noticed it
yesterday-
just having been. Oh, sorry, Craig.
I'm sorry, that's my fault. Go ahead.
Oh, no worry. No, you go ahead, man. Sorry.
I must be on a little delay. I'm sorry. So, Desiree came in yesterday with a super chat where she more or less said it's the idea of you getting banned because you're spouting your religious beliefs. That slope is so unbelievably slippery. The idea that, you coming on, like, some would argue that, people's identity have become their religion, right? And where does that line stop and start, So they should be banned based off of their thoughts. But once again, it goes back to, where are these companies located? They're located in these bubbles in San Francisco, in LA, in this very tight bubble that nothing can penetrate. And that's what you see. Then you see, girl in middle America getting banned for spouting, her Christian beliefs, which once again, it shouldn't matter what you believe. It's but the fact that that's deemed as, what they say, hate speech, or
hate speech. And everything I was sharing, like, you can pull those principles from the Bible. So it's like my religion is called hate speech to them, and that is just absurd to me. And speaking of Desiree, I just love her so much. Thank you, Desiree, for speaking out and defending me. I appreciate that. But yeah, and the thing is so many people want to come for me and say, oh, you're forcing your beliefs on everybody. These people who are saying that are the ones who want to force us to use their fake pronouns. They're the ones that want to force us to let men in women's bathrooms, so on and so forth. But I'm the one forcing my values just because I share them on Twitter or Twitch. That's not adding up.
Yeah, it's just having been. I've lived in Los Angeles. I moved from Michigan in 1989 and lived here, and it's bizarre how just anti-religious Hollywood has become. I've got a good friend. His name is Jeremy Kuhn. He's a Mormon.
Yeah.
Okay. Mormon. In fact, the most interesting thing about Jeremy, he will never swear. He will never, ever use a swear word. And he, he's married with kids. He lives the ideals, right? He's the producer and editor of the movie Napoleon Dynamite. You see that movie?
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's well, all the people who made it, they're all Mormons. The lead actor's Mormon, the director's Mormon, the producer, my friend Jeremy.
That
Mormon.
makes sense because even though I'm not Mormon, I'm like I grew up homeschool Christian, and watching Napoleon Dynamite just reminded me a lot of that, like Christian humor and all that stuff. So okay,
but it's weird how he tried to make some movies after that, but definitely found people were prejudiced toward his projects because it's not like he makes religious movies. He just makes fun movies that everyone can enjoy.
Yeah.
And, it's just bizarre to me how much I've noticed friends of mine. I have a very diverse group of friends, right? They're just all over the map. Weird. But I never have understood so much of the prejudice towards people who are religious. I don't get it. I don't understand. There's like a weird, don't you understand that you're intolerant? That's what you accuse them of being.
Yep.
How do you not look in the mirror and see this? There's a profound lack of self-awareness. And it's like, I think you may have heard that, I feel like the right understands the left better than the left understands itself. You know what I mean? It's like, and look, like I say, I'm part of the alt middle, but it's just weird to sort of look at how polarized people have become and how hateful the other side that claims to not be hateful has also become. And we've kind of lost our way. This is why I think movies are even less popular, right?
Yep.
It's just less popular.
Yep.
Fewer people are going to the movies. Fact, audience shrinking.
Yep.
Video games, there's other video games, YouTube, many other ways to be entertained. And this anti-religious thing is a bad thing. Even just sharing the values and the fact that a movie like Ordinary Angels, which is a very, it's not a faith-based movie. Just the characters happen to go to church.
Yeah.
How is that? Is that going to offend people? And it beat, like I said, it beat Madam Web. In Madam Web's super second weekend just dropped. So anyone that strongly recommend Ordinary Angels with Alan Ritchson. A lot of people are saying he should play Batman. I mean, I'm saying he might be able to play Batman. He's a big dude. But it's very concerning to me, and I've noticed it for years. And so just kudos to you, Melonie, for standing up against that and for looking at it in a very pragmatic way.
Thank you.
All right, let's go and get to some super chats to finish up, guys. Thank you again. I still have a song to sing, which
True.
I've been listening to that, getting prepped. I'm ready to go. I know this song, and I was requested to sing it in my sultry voice, which, baby, it's coming. Retro Meister says, with the 50, Blabs, don't give me that face. With the $50 super chat says, morning scrollers, question for Chris. With Disney stopping physical releases and recent fire at Cinderella's castle, will this give enough ammo for Nielsen Peltz to, or is it Nielsen? I guess yes.
Nelson
Peltz to prove his point that Bob Iger is literally destroying the House of Mouse from within.
The only way, well, first of all, he is. Bob Iger is just a weak leader. He is weak, and the fact that it's gotten this far and he's allowed to, he's just allowed this to happen. The way it's been told to me, because we've had a lot of Disney insiders reach out to us, basically saying it's like the inmates are running the asylum. That's the way it is. The rot is from the ground up. The only way to fix it would be an Elon Musk type Twitter purge, would be to fire almost everyone and then rehire people back and be very particular about who you rehire back. There's a lot of middle management bloat. This is all over in a lot of industries. But yeah, no, it's that now the person they're referring to that was recently fired is the person who runs the live action, that's in charge of the new Cinderella or the new, Snow White with Rachel Zegler. All of those live action Disney movies have been really criticized. So Yeah, that's a bit that he's the person that's in charge of the live action. Sean Bailey is the person's name, and fired. And all these movies are bad. There's not a one that's good. I'm sorry, Lion King was not a great. I thought it was lame.
You're
All
talking
these
about the
Disney,
live action Lion King.
the live action remakes, yeah, they're
Mhm.
terrible. They're
Yep.
they're trying to modernize them. They're making it for the loud minority on social media.
Yep.
That's who they're making these for. They're stupid.
Yep.
All the gender and race swaps, and even it's condescending. Like when they made Tinkerbell on that Disney Plus show, they just it's so obvious now, right? They just
Mhm.
race swapped her. Like, why don't you just make a new character?
Yep.
And it's not like Disney wasn't diverse in the past. My friend Alan Ing on Film Threat did a whole little montage of all the diversity that Disney has that existed decades ago. The problem is this whole swapping things out is I don't think anybody likes it, including the intended audience they're trying to please, right? So good. I'm glad that he's out, but I don't see Disney changing because you still have The Rock. I'm sorry, my answer was very long-winded.
It'll never be enough. It'll never be
it's never enough. It's never enough.
Retromeister says, I also saw what happened to Mel last weekend, and I gotta say, Twitch is truly a cesspool of idiocracy. It doesn't respect free speech, thought, yet allows girls to show off their goodies and exploit male loneliness. Such hypocrisy that I won't support, and which is why we are no longer on Twitch. All right, guys, thank you again. That's awesome, Retromeister, going back up on the wall. I'm going to fire through these super chats, then I'm going to finish up with my sweet songs. Yes.
Desiree for coming in on Kick and rating us. So, hi,
Yay!
guys.
Hey, Des, thank you again for that. You've been a big proponent of Kick over there, and we appreciate that. So Proud came in with the $4.99, says, sorry, I'm late. My wife needed it, so I gave it to her. It won't happen again. Okay, sounds good.
Champ.
Way to go, kiddo. Snitzel from Chowder says, the Pokemon game is based on XY for the 3DS, a fan favorite. Thank you. Appreciate that. Pushup says, Twitch sucks more than Mega Man X7 and Sonic 06 combined. All right, Push-Ups, way to let us know how you feel. The Ramman says, we got to get to the botched robbery. Thanks, Randman. Appreciate that. Lance says, in my 25 years of gaming, I've had 3 games that really got me teary-eyed with their endings. Red Dead Redemption, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. Would love to hear what gams got to y'all.
Final Fantasy X. Wow. I cried like a baby.
I've never cried over a video game. But the music of games will. The music of games will in certain contexts, because I think music is a very powerful medium for sure. So
I got choked up at the end of BioShock, of all things. That really got to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I have, I'm a father to a daughter and a son. And so any sort of familial thing always kind of gets me. So yeah.
Right.
That game got to me. And I was excited they were maybe going to make a BioShock movie with Guillermo del Toro, but maybe it's for the best it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Worthy One says, you might not remember, Chris, and that's cool if you don't. I was cosplaying Eddie Gordo from Tekken. Do you remember Eddie Gordo from Tekken showing up?
Yes. All right. Well, I hope you redo that cosplay at Dragon Con. Yeah. And shout out, that person did a quote, the botched robbery. That's a quote from my movie, my big fat independent movie. So yeah.
Love it. Extra Zero came in and says, conspiracy theory, DEI and consultants like Sweet Baby are pushed to devalue brands so BlackRock shell companies can buy them cheap, invest to own.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that. Like there's a theory actually about me. I live in California. Pray for me. I am in Pasadena, which is kind of this little bubble that Pasadena gives no F's. Like it's sort of like it's very different than the rest of LA. Let's just say that. But there is a theory that part of like the rampant crime in tent cities and all the horrible things that Gavin Newsom, please do not allow him to become a national political figure. He is objectively the worst governor since I've lived here. He is terrible and has, he's just an awful governor. One of the theories is to drive down property value. So property value can be bought cheaply. That's another theory. So that's really interesting. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Epsilon came in and says, Blobs is love, Blobs is life. Thank you. Appreciate that. Blobs is not here right now. Push-Up says, Twitch sucks more than Star Trek Discovery. One time at Bandcamp says, Sweet Baby Inc. are short bus riders. All right. Twitch sucks more than male vegans.
Oh, that's rough. That's a good one.
C-Man says, I play Claire Redfield on over Leon Kennedy in RE2. That's right. Thank you so much. And I think a lot of people are like y'all in that they generally play the opposite sex when they play games. I play as girls most, like in Street Fighter 2, Chun-Li's my main. I love Chun-Li. She's the best.
I love Chun-Li.
You know?
I like Vega, so.
Yeah.
Who I'm sure over time will identify as trans non-binary.
I know, that's why,
pronouns.
I was sad he wasn't in the latest game, but I'm almost glad because I feel like they would have queered him up, so.
What a phrase. Oh my God. Extra Zero says Game Pass and subscriptions are the next crash.
Oh, yeah.
Vagabundo Devon says, Hail Chris, Blaz, Melonie, and my other N-word Craig. Come to Dragon Con. Let's go. Okay, great to see you. Appreciate
Devon
that.
and I, we hung out quite a bit, actually. We were, I don't know, I was getting these rum buckets that you can buy for like $15 at the hotel. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
They're dangerous. They creep up on you. But yeah, Devon and I, we had a blast. So I'll see you at Dragon Con.
Yeah, I met Devon at MegaCon, and great dude for sure. Calvin says, Chris Gore, I do the same thing. I play female characters in games. Even in fighting games, I main female characters. Let's go, Calvin. You're not alone, buddy.
Love it. Yeah, no, I'm the same. Always been the same.
Peter says, didn't one of the South Park games have a smell gimmick?
I don't remember.
Yeah, not that I can recall, but you're probably right. Andrew says, I surprised they didn't get rid of blackface because of how the soot, how much soot the chimney sweepers got on their face. Right. Yeah, and that was not referenced in the reason why they did it, by the way.
Well, in the new Mary Poppins, the chimney sweepers were very, very diverse. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that. It was extremely diverse. I was like, what is this?
Wow.
Beto Rod came in and says 2024 under the radar comedy series on Peacock. Seth MacFarlane's Ted series, a prequel taking place during John and Ted's days in high school, takes place during the 90s. Second season, highly likely. Have you had a chance to see that? Anybody? The Ted
I haven't
series?
seen it.
Rimdog came in and says, after the trans vibrator bit, you'll need a sounder of Wacko Warner saying, good night, everybody.
Oh, Yakko from Animaniacs.
Right. Anthony says, Jeremy John seriously needs to come on this show. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that.
I like Jeremy. Jeremy's a common sense advocate, I believe. I've met him in IRL, so to speak.
Isn't it amazing that we have to have advocates for common sense?
I know.
It's so weird.
Oh, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
Rob says, to Blav's point earlier, nobody wants to even try to learn from history these days.
Oh, wow.
So, Anthony says, well, I'm just about Dune with woke Hollywood. Let's go. Torga says, awful. Yeah. AWFL.
Yeah.
White female leftist. True acronym. That's right. Thank you, Torgo.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah.
As pointed out here by Big Band, says, thanks to Michael Malice for giving us the word to describe these women. Yes. Root of so many problems. Thanks, Big Boned. Viper came in and says, is it just me or does Chris's haircut look like Guile from Street Fighter? Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I woke up like this. So it is what it is.
Oh,
This is
man.
what you get.
Ridiculously lucky. I used to have a sweet mane, as you saw in that video, man. It just went. Then you start shaving it.
Well, but I started getting, like, I got my first silver hair when I was 19. So,
but
it took forever to kind of change, but like, I like it. It's just weird. It's different.
They call you a silver fox, you know?
Take it. I'll take
it. Right. Viper came in with a gifted membership. Thank you so much, Viper. If you guys got gifted, that makes you say thank you. Consider paying it forward. Nissan says Star Wars Expanded Universe novels did age with the audience, and Disney's first move was to cancel them. Star Wars had a chance, but it was epically squandered.
Those EU books, I haven't read them, but I know a lot. They're pretty dark, and they grow with the audience, that's for sure.
I read the Heir to the Empire series. It's fantastic. That should have been the sequel trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
And they squandered it. And the thing is, the Star Wars brand is dead.
Yep.
They had an opportunity with when Carrie Fisher was alive We wanted to see the continuing adventures of
All
Han,
three
Luke,
of
and
them
Leia.
together, and they didn't even do it. Yeah.
They didn't even do it. And that's, if I could talk to anyone at Lucasfilm, why did you make that choice? That was a choice to not reunite Han, Luke, and Leia. It was a choice. And I know it's popular to bag on The Last Jedi. I didn't like The Force Awakens. I didn't like the way that Han Solo was dispensed with. It was not an act of self-sacrifice. He wasn't a hero, not reunited with Han, Luke, and Leia. I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
oh, so bad. It's one of the worst decisions in cinematic history to not make that, not do what Terry Matalas did with the Next Gen cast. If you've seen season 3 of Star Trek Picard. Sorry, I know, Craig, I'm extending the show by talking too much.
No, you do
You're
you. This is why you're
good.
here. This is great. I love it.
Okay.
We're here to. You are the guest. We're here to listen to you, man. That's why
All
you're
right.
here. It's great. Spectre Wolf says we're supposed to not force our morals and worldview onto others, according to the Church of Woke, but the woke are allowed to force their morals and worldview on everyone. That is insane. And
Yep.
Spectre Wolf. David Lowe says, whatever I feel like I want to do. Gosh.
I love that.
My Napoleon Dynamite for you.
Go feed Tina.
Love that.
Tina, come here. Max says, you guys are behind on your NPC update. It's not DEI, it's Jedi, Jedi. Justice, equity, diversity, inclusion. They're kicking us while our franchises are down. Oh, man, we are.
That Jedi thing is real. That Jedi thing is real. It's a seminar put on by various segments of the entertainment industry. And I don't know if we necessarily broke it, but we found like a lot of, since we've been doing these stories on Film Thread, people are sending us their stories from in the industry. There is, I mean, a friend of mine described it as a French Revolution is about to happen in entertainment, that people are just tired of it, where you have veterans that are highly skilled in their jobs that are getting pushed out by all the wokerati or whatever you want to call them. Just annoying. So
wow. Well, tell them to hurry up.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell them to hurry up with their revolution. Big Top came in and says, hey, yo, on this day in wrestling history, the year was 2000. It was the main event of No Way Out. It was Cactus Jack versus Triple H in a Hell in a Cell match that was supposed to be Mick Foley's retirement match, but he came back for WrestleMania. Thank you very much for that little bit of wrestling knowledge, Big Top. Appreciate that. All right, we got a little book here from Mercenary. I'm going to read this off. Chris, do you know Doomcock? Can you convince him to come on Side Scrollers? Also, speaking of games, found my original copy of Shantae for Game Boy, and I'm seeing huge compliments about the Pokemon Day video. What? Also, Mac, way to put on your armor of God. So first, Chris, do you know Doomcock?
I do know Doomcock. Doomcock was in our trial. We did a show called last summer called Critics Court, where we did a trial. We put Disney and Lucasfilm on trial for the murder of the Star Wars franchise. Guilty verdict. But Doomcock was one of the guests of the show. So I think we're going to do another trial pretty soon too.
Nice.
It's just fun. It's fun.
Sal came in with the two, says, Sony's too focused on making, quote, movie games instead of making actual games. They're too stupid to realize that, quote, games, Naughty Dog and Insomniac take many years to make. I wanted to mention that, we talked about the bloat attached to these games, these $100 million games. And even in movies, you see this as well, the tremendous budget attached to these. Then you see a game like Pow World, which had a $6.5 million budget, which is just skyrocketed. Chris, you're a filmmaker as well as, obviously, so the cost of producing movies. If you had $100 million to spend, if somebody gave you $100 million to start a studio, would you rather go in with a big budget film, like let's just say $50 million, or would you rather do $25 million films?
Yeah, I would do the latter. I would do 25 million, maybe one that's 10 million, 15 million, but I would definitely break it up. The $100 million movie, that's a gamble. That's a gamble. You're going to roll the dice and maybe you'll win. But my friends who are really successful independent film producers, what they do is they'll make like 5, 6, 7 movies a year, and 6 of them fail and one of them hits. One of them will like sell to an A24, which is a division of Warner Brothers, by the way. It's that's That's what I would do. I would probably make a movie. Have you ever heard of this movie? I like to sort of drop movie recommendations on when I'm on a show I've never been on before.
Yeah.
Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. You ever heard of this movie?
The Shell.
Okay, Melonie, your homework is to get on VOD Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. It's existential. It's about life and death.
Okay.
And it's about a cute little shell that talks and becomes famous, and he misses his family. You could frame it as like a kid's movie. It's much deeper layers than that. There are deeper layers to this film. It was put out by A24. It's weird. It's based on a video that went viral 10 years ago, and they turned it into a feature film.
I didn't know there was a film, but I remember some like little cute Marcel meme thing. Okay.
They made a feature movie, and it is it's just a beautiful story about belonging and family, and it's very spiritual and very existential, not particularly pushing any type of religion, but it's there. It when you see it. And I miss that. And so that film did very well.
Apparently it's on Netflix now.
It's on Netflix.
Yes.
Oh, yay. I'll watch it.
As of 3 days ago. Yes. Mercenary came in and says Palworld and Helldivers and Tomb Raider are examples of what games should go back to. It is the blot and corruption that needs to go. DEI is pronounced properly as DIE. I'll be dancing on the grave of Sweet Baby Inc. And Chris, all Hollywood is Wag the Dog.
Yeah. It's fake. It's fake.
Mercenary says the game sending is making me think of the old Looney Tunes cartoon where I think Elmer Fudd goes to the future and on the newspaper TV was replaced by the smell vision. Huh, okay. Oh, and I guess there was a he says he's talking about Earthbound and stuff. Mercenary, thank you very much for your donations. Appreciate that. We'll get to those in a little bit. Almond John says chat would demand Craig play Conker's Bad Fur Day. Speaking of that's with the smell-o-vision with the Great Mighty Pooh.
Oh my God, I remember that. Conker's Bad Fur Day.
And dude says that now use that vibrating peripheral while playing modern Doom soundtracks. There you go. Be reaching climax very soon. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate that. Mighty Megatron says, "Don't stress Asmongold, Melonie. He has to pay for sex with chicks that look like you. He's an eternal virgin and not by choice." Thank you, Mighty Megatron. Appreciate that. Hey, don't you worry about him, Melonie. And Orthodox Monk says, a cool early 2000s fantasy book series was Deltora Quest by Emily Rada, and surprisingly dark at sometimes for being a series for youth. Thanks, Orthodox Monks. Appreciate that. And Anthony says, Chris, get Deep Focus Lens on your show.
Oh, I love her. We follow each other on social media. I've had conversation. She is fantastic. I've watched her videos for years. Deep Focus Lens. She's an artist, so she does fine art. And then, I watch all her videos. I think I'd love to get her. I actually suggested that, and she's like, she's kind of shy. She just does her own thing. She's very opinionated, which I love. I don't always agree with her, but yeah, Deep Focus Lens is cool. You should look her up. You'd like
Awesome.
her stuff.
And dude came in and says, if you want to know an emotional entertainment piece, watch the first episode of the anime Prairie. I cheered up all 3 times I've watched it. Prairie, yeah.
I hear it's amazing. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
I started watching, I'm not an anime guy, I never have been, but I started watching Avatar last night on Netflix, the Airbender show. I'm about 30 minutes into it. And it's got my interest for sure.
The live action, you mean? Like the new one that just came out? Okay.
Yeah. Looks interesting. As I said, never been into anime, but I kind of dig what's being thrown down here. So Torga says Avatar is not an anime. Okay,
yeah, it's American made, but I mean they definitely used. They were anime inspired with the animation of it. So a lot of people.
Well, I don't know. I just know it's this thing that weebs watch, right? So, all right, I have to sing a song to close out.
Oh,
the show.
All right.
Listen, I also also have a bunch of
yeah.
memes, so it's up to you which you want to do first. So for later,
Go to the
for
memes
now.
first, and we'll close out with my
That's what I
sultry
thought.
voice.
So
Oh,
Extra
no.
Zero says, Shrek out my shirt. I'm calling the police. And then we also have The Children's Place. Call it fashion threat, but gotta offset the cost of Dune 2 popcorn
I love it.
somewhere.
I love it. Oh, it's great.
Blabiosa, which is actually really cool. I'm Hermione now, so that's sweet.
Amazing.
Then we have the Pokemon. I've never really been into Pokemon. Booty. Clap. Which apparently is an actual thing because Cara Lynn even has it too.
What is this?
Craig's got the Betty Davis eyes.
Oh my!
Oh no!
Oh no.
I'm scared.
Y'all are weird, but you know, you're a dragon, so. And then we have the opposite sex, so here's female Craig, which is horrific.
No thanks.
Masculine Blabs, which looks like I am drunk or something.
Not bad, not bad.
I'm not gonna do this. It's not that good.
Ursula. It's like
Yeah.
Ursula.
Straight up Ursula. You pull a better Ursula than what's her name in the new remake right there, Melissa McCarthy.
But then I think the winner, Melonie.
Help!
What the
Like
hell was
you
that?
look like you're like from Meat Canyon or something. It looks terrible. What happened?
I went vegan.
And then we have Carolyn's the clap Pikachu. And then we have this one. I like to make people think and laugh. The thinking part is optional. And I guess you're like the
Going
green
straight Joker right there. There you go.
Yeah, I think we're all caught up. There you are.
Amazing.
All right.
That's great. Wow, love the memes.
Now I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little intimidated by this song,
no.
which will probably I'm gonna sing this one. I don't know this one very well, but I will say it's a great song.
Okay.
And we're going straight into the chorus here, so you gotta. And I'm gonna play this. We're probably gonna get flagged for copyright, but I feel like it's really important that you hear the music underneath it. Ladies and gentlemen, courtesy of Pops and their $100 direct donation, this is me serenading you with Betty Davis eyes from Kim Carnes in a sultry voice. Here we go. Oh, she'll unease you all the better just to please you. She'll be precocious and she knows just what it takes to make a pro. Put them back on. Let's go. She's got Betty Davis eyes. That's all you got. Sorry, I tried. I don't know it. I tried to learn it while we were doing it.
Fantastic.
Blabs,
Yes.
do you have your headphones on still? Would you not hear any of that?
I was listening.
Yeah, you were. Chris literally was like,
Yeah.
No, I put the headphones on so I couldn't hear.
Oh,
yeah.
I just
No,
want
I'm
to point
getting-
out that was terrible.
I'm getting pelted by, pelted by tomatoes. Oh, no.
Give him the tomato.
Oh,
I
no.
think it was fantastic.
I tried.
don't.
I
That
tried.
was crap.
I tried. I tried. Did my best. Well, Pops, thank you for that. Appreciate you guys. We're going to get Pops and Kratos and Retromeister on the wall. Thank you guys very much. Mercenary, thank you again for your support over on the direct donations. All right, let's get out of here, guys. Melonie, thank you very much for coming on, being a part of the show as always. We'll see you back again on a Friday.
Yay.
Which is great. Do us a favor. Don't get canceled between now and then.
I'll work on it. We'll see. No guarantees.
Good. And Chris, thank you very much for joining us for the first time. I love hearing your perspective. I would love to have you back. Just talk video game magazines and stuff. Awesome stuff. Everyone, please head over and check out Film Threat. They're doing phenomenal work, like important work with the D files. It's like we didn't even get a chance to get into that. It's so important that you guys talk about it and expose the idiocracy attached to the lack of common sense in the entertainment industry. But Chris, is there anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
Just my channel, Film Threat. Check it out. And then thank you, Craig, for having me on. Blabs. Nice to know. By the way, I like pickles so much, I will just drink the pickle juice out of a jar.
Yes.
You do
I
that?
have tried that. I have tried it.
Thanks.
It's not bad.
Why did
I love pickle juice.
Apparently, it's really
pour
good
it
for
out.
you too.
Yeah.
delicious?
Good electrolytes.
And Melonie, just thank you for you being you, fighting the good fight, not letting
Aww.
the haters get to you. Like I think you're brave and courageous, and keep doing what you do.
Thank
Thank you.
you. And thank
Yeah.
you
Love it.
for being you too.
Well, I'm
Love
a
it.
sarcastic a-hole, so that just
Love
keep that in
that.
mind.
Love it.
Welcome to the club. Let's go. All right, guys, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you guys. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Melonie. Go subscribe to Chris and, of course, Film Threats. Go find Blabs over on YouTube where she oogles all sorts of e-thoughts over on Kick as well and makes fun of the not so slim ladies wearing slimming clothing, which is great. But you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys later. And remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. Have a great day, guys.